If you could stay calm in any situation, how would your life change? Have you ever thought about the impact of that? Imagine this, you're stuck in traffic, someone cuts you off, and chaos erupts around you. But you remain calm, unshaken, without letting anger take over. Sound impossible, right? But what if I told you there's an ancient secret that can completely change how you respond to whatever life throws your way? Now, you might be thinking, sure, but this sounds like guru talk. Does it really work in today's world? It's natural to doubt. I know someone who says the same thing. You know that friend who always says something like, Stoicism is old-fashioned. It has nothing to do with our reality. To them, staying calm in a life full of problems and difficult people seems utopian. After all, who doesn't get irritated by the endless little annoyances of everyday life? An unwanted comment on social media, an unsolicited opinion at work, reacting seems almost inevitable, doesn't it? But what if there was a way to handle all of this without losing your peace, without being a prisoner to negative emotions? Stoicism, this philosophy from ancient Greece, can give you that control. And the most surprising part, not only does it work, but it's increasingly practical and necessary in our modern reality. It's not about being cold, indifferent, or ignoring everything around you. On the contrary, it's about having total control over how you react to everything. Not because you choose to ignore it, but because you consciously decide how you're going to feel. Want to know how it works? Imagine this. Instead of reacting automatically to everything, you start observing, analyzing, and only then choosing how to respond. It's liberating. Think about how many times we react impulsively and later regret it. How many arguments, misunderstandings, and disputes could be avoided if we simply had this filter? Yet, for many people, this seems impossible, or just something for enlightened folks. And this is where Stoicism comes in, not as a distant philosophy, but as a practical tool for handling the most common situations. Imagine the impact this could have on your life. No bursts of anger, no despair in the face of criticism, no anxiety over unmet expectations. Instead, a peace that comes from understanding that not everything needs to affect your emotional stability. So, I invite you to discover how this practice works and learn what these ancient Stoic philosophers can teach us about staying calm, even in the middle of chaos. Because Stoicism isn't a lost secret or an outdated philosophy. It might just be the key you need to become someone who isn't controlled by circumstances but who chooses their own path regardless of them. The first thing that comes to mind for many people when they hear about Stoicism is, oh, that's about not caring about anything, right? Like being indifferent or apathetic. And this is exactly where people get it wrong. Stoicism has nothing to do with ignoring the world or ceasing to feel. In fact, it's a very practical philosophy about choosing where to place our energy and focus. It's not about not caring, but deciding what's worth caring about. Let me explain this more directly. Imagine this, you're stuck in traffic, late for a meeting, and someone cuts you off abruptly. The immediate, almost automatic reaction is to get angry, right? But will that anger make the traffic move faster? Will it help you arrive sooner? The answer is clear, no. The only thing it will do is make the rest of your day heavier, maybe even ruin your mood. This is exactly the kind of situation where Stoicism comes into play. It teaches you to create an emotional filter, something that lets you choose which situations truly deserve your attention and energy. Imagine you have a friend, the one who always questions everything. They turn to you and ask, "So, this is just about not caring about anything?" No, it's not that. Stoicism teaches that instead of impulsively reacting to every situation, you can pause, think, and decide. It's like a mental exercise where you identify what is and isn't within your control. In the case of traffic, you can't control what other people do, but you can decide how you will react to it. That's the real power of Stoicism. Now, let's bring this to another common context, social media. You know that moment when you post something, and instead of likes and positive comments, You get a random rude or aggressive critique. What's your first reaction? Maybe it's to respond, defend yourself, or prove your point. But the truth is, responding often just escalates the conflict and might even leave you feeling more upset. Stoicism helps with this too. By practicing this philosophy, you develop a kind of filter that lets you decide where and how to spend your emotional energy. Instead of reacting, you ask yourself, does this really matter? Will it make a difference in my life a month from now? A year? And then your skeptical friend insists, but how can you not get annoyed by these things? Isn't it normal to feel affected? Of course, it's normal. And Stoicism doesn't try to turn you into a stone without emotions. What it does is give you a tool to better deal with those emotions. Because the reality is, feelings like anger, anxiety, or frustration come to all of us. Stoicism simply proposes that instead of being prisoners to these feelings, we can look at them and decide how to react. In other words, you become the master of your reactions instead of letting emotions decide for you. Let's take one last example: work. Tight deadlines, high expectations, constant demands. This can all be exhausting. Yet, once again, Stoicism can be the key. When you have clarity about what is and isn't within your control, stress diminishes. You start focusing on what you can actually do and let go of what isn't up to you. Over time, this becomes a habit. The pressure still exists, but the way you handle it changes entirely. So, in summary, modern Stoicism is not a philosophy of indifference. On the contrary, it's a philosophy of choice. Choosing where to place your attention, where to invest your energy, and what to let go. It's about understanding that you have immense power over how you react to the things happening around you. And believe me, that makes all the difference. Now that we understand a little more about what Stoicism is, let's get straight to action. One of the central ideas of Stoicism is the ability to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. It sounds simple, but if we think about it, many of our daily problems arise precisely because we try to control the uncontrollable. This is where Stoicism shows its power, helping us focus on what we can truly change and letting go of what is beyond our reach. Let's say you're at work, and your boss gives you negative feedback. Your first reaction might be a sting of frustration, maybe even a sense of injustice. After all, you worked hard, and yet you're being criticized. It's natural to want to respond, justify yourself, or even feel angry. But by applying the Stoic principle of distinguishing what is within your control, you realize you cannot control your boss's opinion, but you can control how you react to it. Instead of wasting energy fighting against the feedback, you choose to take something positive from the situation. Maybe it's an opportunity to improve or a chance to show resilience. Now imagine your skeptical friend hearing this. They say, okay, but what if someone insults you? Do you just ignore it? And here's the point. Stoicism doesn't teach you to ignore. That's a common misconception. It teaches you to decide. You're not turning your back on the situation, you're just choosing a conscious reaction. It's like a strategic pause. When you hear something that could upset you, you breathe, reflect, and decide whether that provocation truly deserves a response. The secret of Stoicism is precisely this. It gives you the power to be the protagonist of your reactions. You gain control over how you will respond. Instead of reacting impulsively, you act intentionally. Let's imagine a situation where you post a photo on social media and someone leaves a rude comment. Your first reaction might be to fire back, defend yourself, or even feel hurt. But this is where Stoicism comes in. Instead of spending time and energy on that negativity, you ask yourself, does this comment really matter? Will it change anything in my life? If the answer is no, you simply let it go. Not because you're ignoring it, but because you chose not to engage with something that doesn't add value. And Stoicism goes even deeper. It teaches us that when we stop reacting to what doesn't matter, we gain more time and energy to focus on what truly does. Picture a high-pressure situation at work where you need to make quick decisions. Criticisms and demands are flying in from all directions. Instead of letting each external pressure affect you, Stoicism teaches you to focus on what you can control. Quality of your work, your effort, your attitude. The rest, including others' opinions, simply takes a back seat. In today's world, where every criticism on social media, every work demand, and every daily problem seems to blow up in proportion, this ability to filter what matters is essential. And this filter comes from the constant practice of asking, is this under my control? If yes, you act. If not, you let it go. In moments of conflict, this Stoic principle helps us avoid falling into the trap of negative emotions. Imagine you're in a tense environment, a meeting where opinions are heated, and someone makes a provocative comment. The automatic reaction might be to respond in the same tone, defend your point of view, and even escalate the conflict. But Stoicism teaches you to pause, breathe, and observe the situation calmly. Ask yourself, does this conflict really matter? Is it worth exhausting myself over this? Often, when you take that brief pause, you realize that the best response is no response at all. Because not every provocation deserves your energy. So, in summary, staying calm using Stoicism is more than just not caring. It's about consciously taking control of your reactions. It's understanding that while some things are entirely out of our hands, others are within our command. And that choice changes everything. In today's world, where we're bombarded by opinions, criticisms, and constant pressures, this filter becomes our most powerful tool. That's why the ancient Stoics said that by controlling your reactions, control your world. And the truth is, when we learn to react calmly, we create a mental space where we can make better decisions and live a lighter life. After all, the peace that comes from within is always stronger than any external chaos. Here, in the rush of daily life, is where Stoicism truly proves its usefulness. Picture this, you're about to face an important meeting at work, you already feel the tension rising, your stomach knots up, and anxiety starts to creep in. Who hasn't experienced this, right? Situations like these are everywhere. Whether it's the pressure to perform well at work, personal conflict, or even social events where we feel the need to impress. Stoicism offers a series of practical tools to handle these moments with much more serenity. One of the most powerful Stoic teachings for these challenges is the concept of premeditation, imagining adverse scenarios before they happen. Now, before you think this is pessimism, let's understand how it works. The goal of premeditation isn't to expect the worst in everything, but to mentally prepare for situations that might arise. It's like training your mind to accept that obstacles exist and, in doing so, avoid being caught off guard. When you imagine yourself dealing with potential difficulties, you strengthen yourself to face them calmly if they actually occur. Let's use a practical example. Imagine your friend, the one who always questions everything, asking, "Okay, but how does this help in practice? Won't imagining failure make me even more nervous?" That's the point. The idea isn't to visualize failure, but to prepare for the unexpected. Instead of focusing on what might go wrong, you think about how you would react if something didn't go as planned. That way, your brain no longer sees the problem as something completely new or terrifying, and you feel much more in control. Take the example of an important meeting. By using premeditation, you might imagine what would happen if, for instance, someone disagreed with your idea. How would you react? How would you stay calm and continue defending your point of view? By practicing this kind of mental anticipation, the emotional impact of an unexpected situation is much smaller. It's as if you're creating a resilience cushion. When a tough moment actually arises, you're already prepared, and your reaction is more composed and controlled. Another example that many people face daily is personal conflict. be it with a family member or a colleague. Let's imagine you have a tough conversation coming up, a confrontation that's likely to bring discomfort. Instead of going into the situation blindly, you can apply premeditation. You imagine yourself listening to the other person without immediately reacting, breathing, and thinking through your responses calmly. Even if the conflict occurs, your mind is calmer and less reactive because you've already prepared for it. This practice of premeditation can also be incredibly useful in social events where anxiety sometimes takes over. Picture an event where you know very few people and need to interact, make connections, and leave a good impression. Before the event, you could imagine different scenarios. What if no one approaches you to talk? What if you feel uncomfortable? How would you react without losing your composure? By visualizing these scenarios, nervousness is replaced with a sense of readiness because you've already thought through the possibilities and know you can handle them. The beauty of Stoicism is that by doing this regularly, you start to see a real change in how you view problems. What used to cause stress becomes something manageable. You stop being caught off guard and gain the ability to act rather than just react. When we practice premeditation, the adversities of daily life lose their power to unsettle us. Of course, the problems still exist, but Stoicism helps us face them with a new kind of calm. In today's world, where stress seems to be a constant part of the routine, this teaching becomes even more valuable. For instance, you can apply this strategy before a presentation, an exam, or a difficult conversation. The practice of anticipating potential challenges and imagining how to react transforms stressful situations into growth opportunities. And your skeptical friend might still ask, "So, you never get nervous anymore?" Of course, nervousness still happens. But Stoicism doesn't promise a life without emotions. It teaches us how to stay serene amidst them. Over time, you become less affected by the situations around you and more capable of responding intentionally without being swept away by stress or anxiety. So, by applying these Stoic teachings to our daily lives, we begin to realize that true freedom lies in choosing our reactions. Instead of letting external pressures dictate our mood, Stoicism gives us the opportunity to build a life where we decide how to face each challenge. And believe me, that's one of the most powerful skills anyone can have. Now that we've explored how Stoicism can be applied in daily life, I want to present you with a practical invitation, a challenge for this week. Choose a situation that typically bothers you. It could be something small, like a comment that always irritates you, or something bigger, like a critique or a demand at work. The challenge is this: when it happens, instead of reacting automatically, pause and observe. Ask yourself, how do I want to respond to this? Does this situation deserve my energy? It may seem simple, but this practice can completely transform your emotional state. Imagine how powerful it is to choose your reactions instead of letting the situation decide for you. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can always choose how we'll react. This is the first step to living more calmly and less reactively. By choosing a conscious response, you create a space between the stimulus and the reaction, and it's in that space where true emotional freedom arises. I personally apply this exercise often. Many times, I catch myself about to react automatically to something, whether it's an unexpected critique or a frustrating situation in traffic. But then I remember this Stoic practice and think, I have the option to choose how I'll feel about this. All of us are subject to becoming victims of our reactions. But the truth is, we can also become the masters of our thoughts and responses. This challenge might seem small, but try for a week and observe the impact it will have on your life. This simple act of choosing your reaction can bring a new lightness to your day, giving you a sense of control that once felt distant. And the most interesting part is that, over time, this becomes a habit. From there, situations that used to upset you start losing their power to affect your state of mind. To help you get started, choose something specific to observe this week. Perhaps a work situation, a conversation with someone close, or even a moment usually gets on your nerves. When that situation arises, take a deep breath, pause, and ask yourself, does this deserve my peace? How can I choose to react more calmly? I want to know which situation you'll choose for this challenge. Share it in the comments. It will be great to exchange experiences and see how Stoicism is transforming your daily life. After all, we're all on this path of growth and self-mastery, and it's inspiring to see how each of us can apply these teachings in unique ways. So, are you ready? Take on the challenge and see how powerful it is to live with the choice to react consciously. In the end, true freedom lies in this. Being able to decide how we want to live our emotions instead of just being carried away by them. If you enjoyed this introduction to Stoicism and want to bring these teachings into your daily life, I have a special tip for you. The ebook Modern Stoicism in Practice was created specifically for those who want to master the art of staying calm and living more consciously, even in the face of challenges. It offers practical steps and exercises that turn this philosophy into a habit, helping you apply Stoicism to real-life situations. If you're ready to take this step, the link to the ebook is in the comments. This material is more than just a read. It's a guide that teaches you how to use Stoicism as a powerful tool to cultivate inner peace and self-control in any situation. And why start now? Don't let automatic reactions keep controlling your life. Take action for yourself and start building a stronger, more resilient mindset. Imagine what you can achieve by mastering your reactions and living each day with more balance and clarity. So, if you want to deepen your knowledge and turn Stoicism into a daily practice, click the link and start this journey. This is the first step toward a life where you choose how you want to feel, how you want to react, and above all, how you want to live.